Do you think that Senator Manchin holding up a lot of these bills and, the Build Back Better and even infrastructure, do you think that when Senator Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema kind of get in there in that sort of infighting, so it's a little different than the, Bernie ran, and, Jill Stein over there too, right? She's to blame for our failures. These, this
right.
is a little bit
Susan
different because this is
Sarandon.
actual.
Don't leave Susan Sarandon out of this.
And Susan Sarandon,
the mighty Jill Stein and the mighty Susan Sarandon,
Yeah. But do you think that the actual infighting over policy is causing this sort of for the people to say, oh, they're still not doing anything, or this isn't good enough for me, or do you think there's something there with that?
It's possible. I think a lot of people, when they read news stories about the Manchin Sinema issue, I think they find it annoying. I think they find it meaningless. I think there's widespread suspicion that it's a little bit of a dog and pony show, that the Democratic Party is just sort of pretending that it really, really wants this much bigger, more sweeping thing, and they're saying, oh, but we're being held back by, today it's Manchin, yesterday it would have been the parliamentarian, like whoever it is, right? Because the experience going back decades now is that ultimately neither party really delivers on the stuff that they care most about. So I think the people are just sort of suspicious of that kind of news, and that sort of infighting, it seems to them fake, is the way I would respond to it. I think fairness and accuracy used to be kind of the hallmarks of the approach previously, whether you were the Hunter Thompson style journalist or whether you were the Tom Brokaw, Jessica Savage style journalist. The whole idea was, it was an ethos that was just different from what we do now. Like back then, journalists understood their jobs as, we'll gather the facts, we'll tell you what we know, we'll be as accurate as we can, and then you do with it what you will. The new idea is that things are so serious, the threats like Trump are so intense, that we must try to influence audience behavior by pushing you in a certain direction. And that is totally opposite to what we used to understand the mission to be. So just to take the example of, anything from the Loudoun County issue to the origins of the pandemic, my understanding was always the journalist wasn't really supposed to care what the actual outcome was. Our job was to get it right. So whether it turns out to be a lab leak or whether it turns out to be it's a bat in a cave that organically transmitted the virus, as long as we find out what actually happened, we've done our job. Like and the rest of it is up to you. That's what's missing, I think. I think people miss journalists who just want to give you, the straight dope and not add something else. Because it's a hard enough job without doing that. Once you start adding some other variables to it, it's really easy to screw it up in a million different directions, as I think you all know.
Yeah, as we've seen. Matt, thanks so much for joining us.